Ever just catch yourself, like scrolling endlessly on your phone and you're like, wait, how did I even end up here?
Totally. It's like we're hardwired for distraction these days.
Yeah, it's like an automatic reflex or something. And that's actually what we're diving into today, this whole idea of like a digital detox. But before you think we're ditching our smartphones and going off the grid, it's not about that.
Right. It's more like finding that reset button, for our digital lives. Like, how
Mhm.
do we become a bit more intentional with all this tech around us so we actually enjoy it instead of being like overwhelmed by it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Digital reset. I like that. And we're using this source, digital detox, and its benefits. And one of the first things it talks about is how it's really about mindfulness, not like giving it all up completely.
Right. It's not about swearing off technology forever. It's more about, making a choice about when and how we actually want to use it, like instead of it using us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like instead of automatically opening Instagram while you're waiting for the bus, you actually just like look around, maybe talk to someone, who knows. It's about breaking free from that constant need to be like plugged in.
And that's where you start to see the benefits of this whole digital detox thing. This source, it highlights 5 key areas where like cutting back on screen time can actually have a big impact. And the first one, probably the one you feel right away, is how much calmer and less stressed you feel.
Yeah, because let's be real, like constantly being hit with information and images, it can be exhausting. And then there's the whole social media comparison thing. Even if we don't realize it, it's happening.
For sure. And that's a recipe for anxiety. Like you start comparing your everyday life with everyone's highlight reel, and then boom, you feel inadequate.
It's like we're comparing our bloopers to everyone else's finished film.
Exactly. But a digital detox can help us, break free from that cycle of comparison by just seeing less of those like idealized versions of reality. It creates space for you to accept yourself more and just feel calmer and more at peace.
I can definitely see the appeal in that. So less stress, more peace of mind. That's the first benefit. What else does this source highlight?
So, how's your sleep these days?
Honestly, not great. I'm the queen of late night scrolling.
You and everyone else, it seems. It's so common now, and there's a real reason for it. Like, our bodies aren't meant for this. That blue light from our devices, it messes with our sleep.
Okay, yeah, blue light, I've heard that, but maybe you can break it down. Like, what's the science behind it?
So basically, our bodies, they naturally produce this hormone, melatonin, helps regulate our sleep, right? But that blue light, especially at night, it suppresses melatonin. Like, it makes your brain think it's still daytime, so falling asleep, staying asleep, way harder.
So even if we're mentally exhausted, our body's like, nope, it's party time because that's scrolling.
Pretty much. A digital detox, especially before bed, can help reset that. Less blue light, more melatonin, better sleep.
Sign me up. I could use some of that good sleep. And speaking of feeling refreshed, this source also mentions, like, focus and productivity get a boost from detoxing. What's that about?
It's true. Our brains, they're meant to focus on one thing at a time. But those constant notifications, emails, all that, it's like trying to read a book while juggling, nearly impossible to concentrate.
And I bet all that switching back and forth between tasks really tanks productivity too, right?
Absolutely. Every time you switch, your brain has to like catch up and adjust. And over time, that's mental fatigue, less gets done, and you're more stressed.
It's like our brains are stuck on this hamster wheel of go, 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 no time to just chill.
Precisely. But a digital detox, even for a little bit each day, can help us focus, less distractions, and your brain can actually get in the zone. That's when the magic happens.
So we've got less stress, better sleep, sharper focus. What's next on the list of benefits?
Okay, so this one might surprise you, especially because we always think of tech as connecting us, right? But digital detoxing can actually lead to stronger relationships.
Stronger relationships. That's so interesting because, yeah, you're right. We do always think about tech as a way to stay connected. So how does, like, less tech actually make our relationship stronger?
It's like, it's easy to think that always being in contact, texting and stuff means you're actually connecting. But think about it. How often are you out with people, maybe friends, family, and everyone's glued to their phones? You're there, but are you really there?
It's true. It's like we're together, but not really together.
Exactly. And all those little missed chances to actually connect, they add up. A digital detox, it's like a reminder to be present, put the phone down, look at each other, listen, be in the moment.
So instead of scrolling through Instagram at dinner, you're actually having a conversation. laughing, making memories, the real kind.
Yeah, exactly. It's shifting your focus from that digital world to the actual world. That's where the good stuff is, connecting with people for real.
It's like a digital detox reminds you to be more mindful, not just about your phone, but how you're showing up in your relationships.
Totally. And that mindfulness, it goes beyond just relationships too, actually. The last benefit this source talks about is how much more present and mindful you are in everyday life in general.
I get you, but I got to be honest, sometimes that word mindfulness, it feels kind of cliche, like a buzzword. So for someone who's like, what does that even mean? How does a digital detox make you more mindful?
I hear you. It's like when you're always plugged in, it's easy to go through life on autopilot. Your brain's going a mile a minute, notification to notification. You're not really present. So you miss the little things, the things that actually make life good.
Oh, tell me about it. I've totally had those moments where I'm like, wait, did I just walk like 5 blocks and not even notice because I was glued to my phone?
Exactly. But a digital detox, it helps you break out of that. When you disconnect, even for a bit, your mind can finally settle down, your senses come alive, and suddenly you're aware of everything around you. You actually feel the sun, hear the wind, appreciate the little things.
It's like hitting the pause button on all that noise and information overload, giving yourself a chance to just be.
Exactly. And in that space of just being, that's where you find peace, contentment, gratitude, things that are hard to find when you're constantly plugged in.
Okay, so we've covered what a digital detox is,
Hmm.
why it's a good idea, all those amazing benefits like less stress, better sleep, better focus, stronger relationships, and being more mindful. So how do we actually do it? Like, what are the practical steps? This source, it gives some actual tips on how to make digital detoxing part of your life.
And the best part, you don't have to go crazy all at once. Trying to go cold turkey, especially if you're used to being super connected, that's tough.
It's like trying to run a marathon with zero training. Probably not going to end well.
Exactly. This source, it's all about starting small. Maybe it's turning off your phone for an hour each night or having one day a week where you're totally unplugged. The point is, find what works for you and then slowly do it more and more as you get used to it.
So instead of this big, scary thing, it's more like easing yourself into it, finding a pace
Yeah.
that fits your life, right?
Exactly. And as you start making these little changes, you can try out some of the other tips too. One that I've found really helpful is actually scheduling in specific activities where I know I won't be on my phone.
Ooh, I like that. So what are some of your favorite ways to unplug? What do you
Oh.
do? Oh, I like that. So what are some of your favorite ways to unplug? What do you do?
I've always been a big reader, so making time for that, just curling up with a good book, it's like a must for me. Totally gets me out of my head, away from screens.
I can see that. Getting lost in a good book, it's its own world.
It is, and actually being in nature, that's huge for me too. Could be a hike, could be having my coffee on the porch, even just sitting under a tree for a few minutes. Seriously, those little things make such a difference.
It's funny how we forget about those simple things when we're so plugged in all the time. This source also talks about taming notifications. I swear, my phone's always buzzing about something, news alerts, social media. It's too much.
It's true, they're sneaky little attention grabbers. It's not just annoying, it really messes with your focus, stresses you out, keeps you hooked on your phone. Like, we're always half present.
Yeah, totally. So how do we fight back? The source mentions making certain times or places like
Yeah.
digital-free zones, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, no phones at the dinner table, make your bedroom a tech-free zone for better sleep, even just checking email at certain times instead of letting it take over your whole day.
Right, because otherwise it's just this constant thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's about making space for real life, those connections and experiences that actually matter. Our devices, they're tools. We get to choose how we use them, not the other way around.
It's about being in the driver's seat with technology,
Yeah.
not letting it run the show. So we've got starting slow, finding phone-free activities, taming those notifications, creating those digital-free zones. Anything else from this source before we wrap up?
Last but not least, they talk about this idea of restorative swaps. Like, instead of just scrolling mindlessly, you choose to do something that actually makes you feel good.
Okay, so like what kind of things? Give me some examples.
It could be anything. Journaling, spending time with people you love, getting into a hobby, or even just sitting quietly for a bit.
It's about being intentional with your time, right?
Yeah.
Instead of defaulting to your phone, you choose something that actually nourishes you.
Exactly. Fill your days with things that make you feel alive, not drained and empty. Now, we got to be real. Even when you're trying to do this whole digital detox thing, it can be tough at first.
You mean like that feeling that you're missing out on stuff? when you're not constantly online.
Exactly. FOMO is real. Our brains are used to that constant stimulation. So, yeah, it's normal to feel a little weird, even a little anxious when you disconnect.
It's like our brains are addicted to junk food, and then we're suddenly trying to eat healthy.
Yeah.
Takes some getting used to.
I love that analogy. But the good news is, those feelings, they don't last. Once you start experiencing the good stuff, less stress, better sleep, all those benefits, you start to crave that more than being glued to your phone.
It's about changing your perspective, right?
Right.
Realizing that real life, that's where the good stuff is.
Exactly. It's not about demonizing technology. It's about taking back your time, your attention, your life.
So as we wrap up this digital detox deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest thing is to remember it's not about being perfect. It's about trying. Find what works for you, try different things, be kind to yourself along the way, little by little, celebrate the wins, and know that you're not alone in this.
It's about finding that balance, right? Enjoying tech without letting it take over. And on that note, I think it's time for me to practice what we preach and have a tech-free evening myself.
I love it. Enjoy.
Thanks for joining us on this digital detox deep dive, everyone. Until next time, take care and happy detoxing.